We've been described as having adventurous spirits and embracing a sense of adventure. But what happens when the adventure is taken away?
We're currently in the middle of a lockdown, guided by a stay-at-home order from our government. After 5 weeks at level 4, the strictest level of lockdown, we've just entered level 3. Takeaway stores can open, and some people can return to work, but the stay-at-home order is still in place.
It hasn't been a nice time. Lockdown was novel for the first few days, but that novelty quickly wore off.
Riding motorcycles for pleasure was not allowed at level 4, and it remains against the rules at level 3, lest we have an accident and put unneeded pressure on first responders and health staff.
As a lot of you know, riding motorcycles is pretty much our identity. So what does happen when the adventure is taken away?
All that we can do is dream about what happens when the adventure finally comes back.
It's no secret that one of our bucket list dreams is to ride motorcycles in the USA.
Why the USA, you ask? Legendary roads, endless highways, world-famous landmarks, diverse landscapes, world-class biker rallies, and much, much more.
We'd have to say though, that most important are the friends we've made in the motovlogging community.
While we were in level 4 lockdown, we reached out to that same community and we asked them to share with us some of their favourite places within the USA, both as a way to ease the drudgery of a stay-at-home order and as a way to inspire us and others and to whet our appetite for when we finally make it stateside.
We know that international travel will be off the agenda for some time yet, but rest assured, we will make it to the home of the brave and the land of the free.
So until then, we'll let you inspire us.
One of the first things that stood out was the diverse and seemingly otherworldly landscapes that exist within the continental USA.
For instance, this shot, taken just outside of Moab in Utah, shared with us by some biker chick.
Or the extreme landscape of the Badlands National Park in South Dakota, shared with us by Jim Rides HD. Jim had this to say about this particular photograph.
My wife and I walked out from the parking lot into the Badlands. We only walked for about 10 minutes, and I stopped and took this photo. It was as if we were walking on the moon.
Speaking of the moon, a couple of submissions showcased the altitude and staggering beauty of the summit of Pikes Peak in the Rocky Mountains, which is about as close to the moon as you're going to get, within Colorado anyway, at a height of over 14,000 feet.
To put that in perspective, New Zealand's highest mountain, Aoraki Mount Cook, is only around 12,000 feet, and unlike Pikes Peak, which you can clearly reach the summit of in a vehicle, actually requires advanced mountain climbing experience to conquer.
Billy Lines shared with us these incredible views of storm clouds taken from the pinnacle of Pikes Peak. Billy reminisced about this particular day.
It's an exciting motorcycle ride just to get to the top. A breathtaking view that a camera just doesn't do justice. On the way down, I ran into snow, sleet, and rain. It was a very memorable ride for me.
Chris, the Indian riding Aussie, shared with us these images of her trek to the top of the peak.
Chris had this to say about her adventure on the mountain.
I rode to the top of Pikes Peak, close to Colorado Springs. It's the highest summit in the Rocky Mountains and fucking awesome. I got altitude sickness, but it was worth it. I did it on an Indian Springfield, and the view up and back was amazing.
The 3,500 square mile volcanic hotspot that is Yellowstone National Park was a popular location amongst the motovloggers. It is so vast that it has parts within Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho. The Geared Raven had this to say about her favourite place.
Yellowstone National Park is probably my favourite place in the United States. The variation in landscapes is amazing, and the amount of wildlife that you can see there is unmatched. It's a place you could spend weeks at and still not see everything, and it's a place that draws me back. Jim Rides HD also submitted images of Yellowstone.
About 18 years ago, I borrowed my dad's camper bus, and my wife and I packed up our kids and headed to Yellowstone National Park. We entered the park using the Wyoming entrance. There were lots of geothermal exhibits to see. Seeing bubbling mud pots with buffalo skeletons next to them kept us from deviating from the boardwalks around the exhibits. The park is huge, and when we would head out from the camper, we would pack a lunch because it could take a couple of hours to get where you were going.
Its Penelope pit stop could not decide on just one favourite location and shared two with us.
Penelope had this to say about her first location, the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco.
She's beautiful and takes my breath away every time I see her. We're blessed to live so close to her and be able to ride across on the bike.
Yosemite National Park in California's Sierra Nevada mountains was Ms. Pitstop's second submission. Pictured here with her husband, she explains,
Yosemite is such an incredibly awe-inspiring and beautiful place. I cry at the sheer beauty when we visit. Speaking of Penelope's husband, he shared with us some stunning shots taken at Shelter Cove on the Lost Coast of California and said,
a trip to Shelter Cove in the Lost Coast of Northern California is to experience life in its simplest form.
Pictured here visiting the world-famous Mount Rushmore is Steve of Scouse Adventures. Steve shared this image along with this description.
This is a picture that is close to my heart. Me and a friend at Mount Rushmore during Sturgis Motorcycle Rally in South Dakota, showing off our regimental badges. It was our first time at the rally and our first ever road trip on the bikes, and we loved it.
Scott Jones shared with us some great shots of his adventures across the USA.
Scott visited with the buffalo in Custer State Park, South Dakota.
He also hung out with his brothers in Virginia during their first ever motorcycle vacation together.
He toured with his 81 years young father-in-law Rich through the breathtaking Monument Valley in Utah.
And Rich and Scott also toured the Blue Ridge Parkway, which runs through Virginia and North Carolina.
The Blue Ridge Parkway is clearly a favoured ride amongst bikers, as USA on a Harley also shared images from that road.
This Sport Glide riding couple said,
"We are doing a cross-country trip around the USA, and we will try to hit 48 states. Because of the coronavirus, we may have to change some things, but we will try to hit as many as possible."
The Tail of the Dragon, a stretch of road along the Deals Gap mountain pass on the North Carolina-Tennessee state line, was also well represented among respondents. And with 318 turns in only 11 miles and stunning mountain scenery, it's not hard to see why.
Another stunning mountain road is a 25-mile stretch known as the $1 Million Highway, which runs between Ouray and Silverton in Colorado. These images were shared with us by the triumph-loving Riding with Death. Included with these incredible images were Death's succinct words.
"It's absolutely stunning. It's abundantly clear that there is more to see and do in the United States of America than we'll ever achieve in our lifetime. Its beauty and diverse landscapes captured our imaginations long ago, and these contributions have only served to reinforce that."
So a huge thank you to everybody who shared their adventures with us while ours are on hold. We look forward to the day that we can create brand new adventures together.